everybody. Welcome to the show. This is the Doty Stew podcast. I'm Brad Doty, and we're here with Troy Hooper today. Troy, how's it going today?
It's going great.
Yes. Troy is the co-founder of Smart Money and also involved with Farmers Insurance here in town.
Yep.
Okay. Can you lead us up to how you got involved with Smart Money and Farmers Insurance?
Well, yeah, because I can, we were talking earlier, I'll start with the earlier story. I had been actually, prior to this, working at Service Master doing business development. So I was on the claims side, got to see all the insurers' claims from the mitigation side. And while I was there, was approached by farmers with an offer I couldn't refuse at the time. And my wife and I started our agency back in 2018 here in Caldwell. And back in February of last year, we started really looking at our finances different. And we started watching a bunch of YouTube, which, again, if you watch too much YouTube.
Well, we hope they're watching this show for sure.
Yeah, there's a difference between not watching your show, but I mean, yes. And we were watching a bunch of stuff that was bringing us to velocity banking was the first thing we heard about. And we thought, how come we've never been taught this kind of stuff, which can be really frustrating the older you get and realizing, I wish we would have been taught this when I was in my 20s.
Yeah, you see that often, right? The things we're taught in school aren't what we need now.
Yeah, and it can be very frustrating in that aspect. But as we were digging more into the velocity banking, this person, I can name her, Christy Van, said that she had encountered another company who had been in the finance world since 2004. Actually, prior to that, they were a mortgage company that they started, and they had developed a product that was doing amazing things. And so we started looking into this product, and we were going, "This is crazy," because on the insurance side, when I got somebody who calls me up and says, "Hey, I need to get my home insured," I'm like, great. Write your quote or whatever, and there's no other thought. There's been never ever thought in my mind to go anything beyond that.
Sure, and most of us don't know to ask if there's anything, and we might get into that a little bit.
Yeah, it's I mean, I could certainly cross sell. I could say, we could talk about life insurance, we could talk about auto. Do you have a business, whatever? But this was going to be different, and what we had found out was this was a program that no one else has even come close to today. And I want to get into something else about that on another side, but let me just say that the more that we started researching about this, the more we were going, we're like right in the first of this whole thing, but they've been around since 2004.
Okay.
So the more that we dug into it, the more we started finding out, wait a minute, people who have a 30-year mortgage could be paying it off in 5 to 7 years. Well, that's not math. There's no way that possible that could happen. But when you've got a program that is doing factorial math, that is doing hundreds of thousands of algorithms, that is constantly adjusting to you, there's a reason why they call it a financial GPS. If I want to go from here to Boise and I grab, and the newest thing, obviously, Waze. And Waze is probably the best illustration of this. I put into Waze, I'm going to go to Boise. It says it's going to tell me you're going to be there at this time. If nothing changes,
I use Waze myself.
Okay, this is the time you're going to be there. But while I'm driving to Boise, I go, you know what? Maybe I want to stop off at Chick-fil-A for a little bit. Grab myself something to eat. Well, the GPS doesn't say, well, you idiot, you said we were going to be there, this time. Now we have to change everything. No, it just adjusts to whatever you need. You make a wrong turn, it adjusts to whatever you need. Rerouting. Just so when you have a financial GPS that does that, when life happens, when you want to plan things, forecast, you say 2-3 years from now, I want to buy a house or I want to buy a car. We want to go to Hawaii for a vacation. You're able to put this information in and it's going to calculate still for you.
You said Velocity Banking led you to this. Could you just tell us what Velocity Banking is, even though I don't think that's quite the avenue you
No,
want to go down?
but
Is
it's
it?
part of the two because
Okay.
because what this program did, and I'm gonna jump back to the history of it real quick because I think it's cool.
Okay.
The founders of this were in the mortgage industry, and they were having continual repeat customers come in. Now, that's not a bad thing, is it? Well, it is when the fourth or fifth time they come in and you go, we can't do anything else. You're tapped out. You're done type deal. But I just bought a boat. Sorry, this is where you're at. And so they began to investigate, there's got to be other ways that we can do this. And so they had found in the UK and in Australia, they were doing things with HELOCs. And they started utilizing HELOCs as a bank per se, not putting money in my checking account and putting it into the HELOC, and I'm constantly utilizing that to get out of debt faster. And then it started to progress. And then it got to credit cards. Velocity Banking with HELOC and credit cards works the same way. I take my paycheck, I put it on the credit card. But wait a minute, you don't have any money. Yes, I do, because I just put it all on the credit card. And I can turn around and use it. And when I do that, I don't pay the interest for that full amount. It's less. And I'm not being charged that daily rate as much. So now my balance goes down faster, velocity. The more you're doing it, the faster it starts going type thing. So from the velocity banking, and there are so many other ways of doing banking today. Debt snowball, avalanche, infinite banking. These are all great, and these are all a part of this program. It literally combines all of them.
Smart money.
Smart. So, but Smart Money is the brand, and this is the thing that was cool when my wife was talking to me about, we need to start branding ourselves, and I'm like, well, what's this branding stuff? I mean, we're farmers, everybody knows farmers type thing, but she had a great point about saying, no, branding is going to make it even better for us as this starts to as this starts to grow. And so when we came up with Smart Money GPS, it was part of we call it a trifecta of things. So we had insurance to protect you. We had, and the name of the program is the Money Max account. We had the Money Max account over here to help get you out of debt. And then we added a third part of it, which was Rock Financial. And Rock Financial is a company that handles small business loans in a fraction of the time that it takes a normal bank to do things. If I've got a landscaper who says, I need to buy some equipment, I need to buy something over here, and I've got to go to the bank, and it's going to take 2, 3, 4 weeks, and I don't even know if I'm going to get approved, Rock Financial will approve you can approve you even up to 24 hours.
So they specialize.
They specialize in this, but they're not bank robbers with these high interest rates and things like that. But there's the funny thing. Money Max will tell you how to pay it off.
Yeah.
So we have this trifecta going. And the one day when my wife said to me, she said, we're using Money Max. You've got people calling you up saying, I need to get insurance on my house. They just got into a 30-year loan. You should be offering them the Money Max account. And I was like, you're right. I should. And so when we started doing this, it started opening up more opportunities that every time that I was able to talk to somebody, I had an entry no matter what the conversation was at. If someone said that they were struggling with debt, I could talk to them about Money Max. If they said that they, can't stand my insurance agent or that, I could talk to them over here. They said, you know what? I've been trying to get some funding for it. I have all three of these covered now. And that's how we came up with the brand Smart Money GPS. Your way of guiding people to financial freedom, to heading the right direction. We don't always talk about being debt free. It's more of a cliche today, I think, than it is anything else, because the reality is knowing how to manage that debt is what's important. I mean, millionaires, billionaires, they have debt. It's not like they don't have any debt. They have debt.
Most of them get there because they know how to manage the debt properly.
Correct. And they know also that debt also can give me leverage. So if you tried to go buy a house today with a horrible FICO score because you don't have any debt, you're not going to get a loan that you'd want.
Right.
But if you do have debt that you've managed well, you're going to be able to get a
Better credit score.
Yeah. So it really was an amazing thing for us to start doing this. And this became an emotional thing as well. Because as I sat across the table from people who looked at me and they said, I don't know what to do. You know, I'm in this loan for 30 years. And the thing is, we're happy about that. We're taught, get a good interest rate, make sure you got a good payment. That's what we're taught.
That is. Can you afford the payment?
But there's another reality. I can even show you on a higher interest rate how you could pay off something faster because your principal is lower. And once your principal is lower, it's easier for you to double up on a payment. Because the person who says, I make a payment, an extra payment every year. Well, that knocks off 6 months, 8 months. It doesn't really make the difference that it could if you were able to look at your principal balance and say, on a 3% loan, just throwing some numbers out, you could have, somebody could be $1,000 is their payment, and 800 of that is interest, and 200 of that is principal. But on a 6%, it could be more like, 600. I'm sorry, it's the opposite of that. The lower the interest rate, it would be a higher principal amount. So it would be harder to make a double payment. If my principal was $200, I could make another $200 payment probably. If my principal was $900, it would be harder to make a principal payment.
On the principal.
Yeah.
Correct.
So sitting across from people that the emotions just were welling up. Now, this one lady, I went out door to door. My wife said, you need to get out in the neighborhood and start knocking doors. I could have been a politician.
You could have.
And I got out to meet my neighbors. Hi, I'm your neighbor. I can't tell you how many no soliciting signs were out there.
There's a lot.
I
know.
I'm your neighbor. Doesn't matter. And I had this one person who walked out of her doorway, shut the door, and very intrigued. Timing was everything. Her husband had just lost his job that he'd had for 25 years, whatever, was making great money. Now their income was half of that. She had just started in real estate. They didn't know we might have to sell our house. We might have to file for bankruptcy. She had all these things. We went through an analysis with the MoneyMax account, and she's staring at the screen, and she looked at me and she goes, now I have hope. She had purchased it before talking to her husband, who came home and said, we did what? We don't have money for that, And he goes, there is no way that we can pay off our house in 5 to 7 years. I got him on the phone and I said, you are absolutely right. And he's like, you can see, you're right.
If you continue doing what you're doing.
If you're doing the bank's plan, you're right. You won't ever do that. But the way that the MoneyMax is set up, they've been doing this right now to date. It's $2.9 billion in debt that they've eliminated, and millions and millions of dollars of interest that's been saved. Because people don't think about, if I'm just thinking interest in payment, I'm not asking myself the question, how long is this actually going to take me? And if I could be out of debt faster, what would that do for me financially? Where would that put me? Had another guy, 65 years old, looked at me and he said, I'm probably going to just, kids are going to have the house. They're probably have to sell it. He was just, frustrated. We ran his analysis. He was 32 point something years because his loan was going to recast. He had no idea. He went down to 6.5 years. And he looked at me and he goes, I'm still going to be around.
Now, you said his loan was going to recast.
Yes.
Tell me what that is.
That was a new one for us, too.
I wouldn't know what that is.
That was a new one for us. Now, generally, there's two types of things with the recast. One would be if I went in and made an extra payment on principal, for instance, the loan has to recast. It has to recalculate. Here's a simple thing for people to think about, because everybody loves amortization schedules. I know this. If you look at your amortization schedule and it says you have $1,000 payment on your mortgage. And we'll just use the numbers again. 800 of it is interest. Well, number one, you're not paying the interest rate you think you're paying. Number two, if I make an additional payment of principal, so I make a $200, I make a $1,000 payment, then I make a $200 payment. Do I have to wait till the next month to do that? No. And the moment that I do that payment, it cancels out the interest that I would have paid.
Okay.
Keep walking down the line with that, and you could pay off a year's worth of payments on your loan by paying it down like that faster. This program literally is doing this calculation 24/7. It is dynamic. It's alive. It is not something where every year you're going to sit down and try to figure out. It's not like a budget looking backwards and saying, well, how much did we spend on okay, well, should we cut this or what about that? We're going to have to eat beans and rice.
Yeah.
This says, where are you at right now? Do you have $1 more than what you earn left over in discretionary money? I'll show you how you can put that somewhere to start making a difference.
So it's designed for each individual. It's
Correct.
not just a blanket.
Nobody gets the exact same results. But I am surprised a lot of time by the results. Where I'll have people. I had one person who. This is another one of those ones where we did the analysis. They looked at me and they went, "This isn't all my debt." So that shame,
could be a problem, right?
Yeah, the shame and the feeling of judgment. I said, hey, the program's we're not judging you here. I said, what are we at right now? Well, the program says that we're at, I think it was at 5.8 years to be debt free. She goes, can we add the other debt? She's thinking in her mind that, this is going to go off the charts. When we added $65,000 more in debt, it went to 6.4 years.
Very interesting. So she thought it was going to hurt her, and in the end, it sounds like it may have helped her.
Absolutely, because she
kept it in the same range.
She now had a direction. She now had a plan. When you have structure of something, and again, finances can be overwhelming. There's been some people that we've sat down with that they didn't realize that they had $1,500, $2,000 worth of discretionary money that they had no idea where it was going. Now, this system is going to say to you, you have this extra money. I'm going to tell you each month when you have this extra money where it should go and how to pay off debt faster than you would.
People get surprised how much they're paying for coffees and lunch, right? Just those
Starts
two
adding,
daily
starts
things.
adding up.
They do, especially now.
Yeah.
Lunch is $20, $30, $40 just for
and
lunch now.
Gas, we're going to keep pushing to that $5 mark. If we talk about the war, no.
We'll get into that one at the next episode.
Right. So I've been sitting down with people, and like each time I sit down, there's a part of it that that anticipation of this is going to be new. And then there's also that thing of, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised what the system can do. When I talk to somebody in their 50s, in our age, and we talk about, well, you could be out of debt in 5 years. And their mind was, it's going to be another 20 years. I'm going to have to work harder. I'm going to have to make more money. Nothing wrong with making more money. In fact, when I had one individual say to me that I was trying to get him to do his analysis because I wanted him to see his numbers. And a younger guy, I think he was in his 30s. And he looked at me and said, well, I need to talk to my financial advisor first, which that was kind of a financial advisor I need to talk to. And I said, great, because in my mind, if you have a financial advisor who sees that you're going to be out of debt faster, and in getting out of debt faster, they're going to be able to tell you how to utilize your money quicker. What financial advisor would say, no, you stick with that loan.
Yes.
You go the whole
Stand that
30
20,
years.
30 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
You'd be an idiot to do that. But I think that that's been the case, is just sitting down with people. And when they see their numbers, it's not a sale at this point. It's an opportunity. What are you going to do with this opportunity now? You've got the numbers in front of you. This is just math. It's not magic.
Takes a little discipline, though, it sounds like.
Absolutely. And
like anything.
anything. Yeah. If you told somebody to sit down and do a budget, which again, our age, we were taught, I can remember being in high school, we actually had a personal finance course. And we had to have a checkbook. We had to learn how to do the check register.
That's correct.
And that was painful to go, how much is this again? And then we had like real life examples. We had to go out and like rent a place or do all this type of stuff. We had home economics. We had a lot of good stuff back then, but today we don't. Now, someone might
not much about investing your money.
No,
again, because those teaching you weren't taught that either.
Exactly,
they're teaching you what they were taught.
Yeah, and the idea that the generation that was before you and I, so go back 2 generations. 2 generations hated credit, which the irony was they still used it. They would go to the grocery store and say,
run me a tab.
Earl, just go ahead and put that on my tab. That's credit. They weren't charging interest necessarily, but that's credit. The generation after that, our parents learned to use credit cards, but they used them. They said, we pay them off every month, Jump forward to today, and you tell somebody, take your whole paycheck and put it on the credit card, and they go, you're nuts. Why would I do that? And you have to look at them and go, because you're going to turn around and pay for the things you normally would throughout the month, but you're going to eliminate your debt faster, and you're going to manage it and be in control of your debt better at that point. So teaching younger generation that concept and enlightening an older generation of why were we never taught this?
So is it still better to put your money on let's say someone pays off that credit card, is disciplined, and pays it off when the bill comes in every month?
Right.
Is it still better to have the money sitting in a positive on that credit card first and paying it off?
Let me ask you this question. How much money do you make with your paycheck sitting in your checking account?
Not much. Isn't it just pennies? It seems like
0
when I see that statement.
But how much does the bank make on that? See, the bank says
depends on how many times they turn it over.
Well, the bank says you put your money in our account. We're going to loan money back to you.
Right.
Charge you interest on that, but we're also going to loan money to everybody else out here and charge interest. We don't want you to pay this off faster. We want you to stay in this as long as you can, this will bring me to another point, because years ago, I was so fortunate that I could buy an iPhone, have it for about a year, sell it, turn around and take that money, walk right back into the cellular place, T-Mobile, AT&T, whatever, and buy the next newest phone. But then these companies started realizing that subscriptions were going to be so much better. So now we buy $1,000 phone. Stop and think, $1,000 phone that we pay even more for interest-wise, and it doesn't even matter. My wife and I thought, okay, we're going to beat the system. We actually held onto our phones 2 years. We thought we're going to really do this right.
Really putting it to them.
We walked in there and we said, we're going to trade in our phone, and they said, great. Now, your phone, we're going to give you your phone. The phone you're buying is $1,000. We're going to give you, they said to me, we're going to give you $800 for your phone. Okay. So $200, that should be paid off like that, right? Oh, no. We're going to spread that out for 24 months.
We won't let you just pay it off.
And even if you did pay it off, you're still not out of it, because you're going to have to pay that amount. They plan it that way. That's how banks work as well. That's how they make their money. If you start using the bank system at home and start recognizing, I want my money to actually work for me, not against me, it changes things. Now, somebody watching this could go, wait a minute, how do I put all my money on a credit card? Then how am I going to pay my rent? Great point. The way you would do something like that, if you had a $5,000 credit limit, let's say, and you had a $5,000 payment or $5,000 paycheck, but you had a $2,000 rent payment, you would take the $2,000 out, pay your rent right away. You don't want that to sit in the checking account. You pay it right away like that. It's the same thing with people with mortgages. They have to, so you put it over here for a little bit. If you had a HELOC, you'd put it over here for a little bit. If you had a high yield savings account, put it over here for a little bit. And then when the timing's right, make the payment. When you talked about discipline, that's what this program is also doing. This program is saying, I'm going to tell you, so you don't have to even think about it. I'm going to tell you the best time and the right item to pay on immediately. Put money over here in savings. Put money over here in savings. And you're doing this. Okay, what are we doing here? And then all of a sudden it goes, okay, now grab this amount and put it on the mortgage, or grab this amount and put it on the HELOC, or grab this amount and put it on the credit card. Every little bit counts. And even down to the smallest amount makes a difference. So because of that, the whole concept in smart money, being smart with your money, is what we want people to learn. We want to help people with this. This is a major thing. Like I said, this is an emotional thing to sit across from somebody and have it change their situation. And even so much for them to go, I thought that I was doing everything right. I thought I was paying my bills on time. I thought I was trying to play the game that everyone tells me to play. I had no idea that there was another way out there that was going to go even faster than this could have done.
It is very interesting. Again, if you don't know what you don't know. So clearly that's one reason why we're here today.
Yeah, and I didn't know. I mean, I was frustrated beyond anything, going, this is dumb. Why would I even do it? And the person who goes, oh, this only works for people who have a lot of money. No, it doesn't. It works for people who make little amount of money. Because in doing this, the program actually is going to tell you, if you had, let's say, a small amount of debt and you paid that down in this amount of time, the program's going to say, now let's start taking that money and putting it over here. Which again, on a 30-year mortgage, the person who goes, woo, paid off my mortgage. Now I'm going to pay myself. Well, how much time left do you have to do that? But if I paid it off in 5 to 7 years and I had another 20 years to put money aside, and in doing that, even at as low as 1%, I mean, we're seeing numbers that are popping up that people are up towards 1 million just at 1%.
And I'm going to guess, and I'm sure you'll let me know, but it doesn't take, I think some of the worry is, does it take all of your residual income? Because you certainly still want to be able to enjoy.
So here's another
some
beautiful thing about
life.
this. Beautiful thing about this, because, and this is part of the marketing that they do as well. The marketing in it says you don't have to get a second job. You don't have to cut down on anything. You need to live life. There's no doubt about that. But you're going to tell the program. Now there is a budgeting side to this. And the budgeting side to it says, and again, let's just use simple numbers. But let's say I've got, I bring home $5,000 a month, and I have a $2,000 mortgage payment, and I've got so I got $3,000 left, and in that $3,000, I have $2,500 worth of expenses. So I have $500 discretionary money. You're going to tell the system also, you could say to the system, well, I want to take my wife out once a month. So I'm going to pull just $200 out of that discretionary money, or I'm going to shift some things around or whatever. You're telling it what you're going to do. So then the program goes, all right, this month you've got these things to pay. Here's your expenses. We know you've got to pay those. And, oh, hey, you got a bonus this month. Great. Nothing changes here. This is money you've already budgeted. Go enjoy, your time at Regal Theater or whatever. That was a plug for the Lord, by the way. Go to have fun doing that, but we're going to take this money and we're going to set it over here. You don't need to touch it right now, but you've already budgeted out for your play money, any of that other stuff. But life happens, right? So I get to a month where my car dies, and now I have to pay $1,500 to fix the transmission.
An unexpected expense.
Unexpected expense. And the system goes, all right, you said you're going to put that $1,500 on a credit card. You were at, and we're just using simple numbers here, you were at 5 years to be debt free. Put that $1,500 on the credit card. You're telling the system this, and the system goes, okay, now you're at 5.2 years. You still have a plan. It doesn't go, now what do I do? You have a plan still.
You're not starting all over again.
Right. And speaking of starting all over, let's talk to all those people that go, I'm just going to refi. That's what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. And I go, you know what? The banks know that. The average person today, this is statistics that blew me away. Their first home is 5 to 7 years. The banks know that. That's why your loan is front loaded. So when you go into refi,
Lots of interest in the front,
all the interest in the front like that, you go into refi and you say, haha, I just pulled out all this money and I'm going to pay off all this stuff. You just started over is all you did. And now you're paying the same thing again. Mm-hmm. Since the banks know that, there's nothing wrong with doing a refi, but if you were able to do a refi and put yourself in a better position, this program does not say, let's get you to this point and we're done. This program is for the rest of your life. This is how we're going to bank type scenario. And so if you get debt free here, then we're going to start talking about building wealth because that's your next move. Mm-hmm. If life happens and it pushes it farther out, we're just going to make adjustments, whatever like that. If more money comes in. I've seen it where the program where people would put in, next year I'm going to start a new job. I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to estimate that I'm going to make X amount of dollars. Put that into the system. It goes, okay, you just shortened your timeline now to this. And rather than being in a position of going, I don't know. I hope that this will happen. You have a guaranteed, they actually guarantee your payoff date. And have never had to change it.
As long as you enter all the data correctly.
As long as you use the program, correct. And anybody who has any wits about them, that if they were going to be debt-free in 5 years and something happened and now it's going to be 6.8 years, who cares? You were at 25 or 30 years to begin with. That's a completely different scenario. So when sitting down with people with this and helping them realize this is not just a one-time deal. Because a lot of times I'll get asked the question, well, is this a consolidation loan? No. Is this refi? No. Is this because we have all these things. I was going to
ask you that. Like what should be some questions someone would ask you when they come in and speak with you? So you've already mentioned a couple.
Yeah, they'll ask those questions, and it all comes back to it's none of those. It's where are you today? So sitting down and doing an analysis, we put in their debt. Sometimes that's an eye opener for people. Where
some of us may not know how much debt we actually have, right? Until we start putting it down.
And as we're putting it in, it's calculating how far out you're already. So putting in all the debt, it's saying you're at, let's say 30 years right now. And then we're going to put in your income, and then we're going to put in your expenses. And then we're going to find out what your discretionary funds are. That's another one that gets people to go, wow. And then we're going to hit one button, and it's going to show an amortization schedule that says, here's the bank's plan. It's all in red.
Yes.
Here's your plan that starts in blue and turns to green here.
And I'm going to guess if you come into a couple $100 extra bucks, you can also tell it that and say, where should I put this?
Yes. The beauty of the system is this. You can, just like a GPS, you've done this before where you said, I'll just keep saying, we're going to Boise. So you could put in there, I'm going to Boise, and the GPS will come back to you and it'll say, well, here's 3 different routes you can take. Pretty much the same deal here. Mm-hmm. This system, you can set it to automatic. Automatic is get me there the fastest way possible. But you could also go into it and say, I want to do velocity banking. I want to do debt snowball. I want to do this. I'm in complete control of it. But if your goal was to do it the fastest, trust the algorithms, trust the factorial math, because
Sure.
it's doing all that stuff for you. Another question that I get, well, can't I just do this myself? Here's why I love that question. Because anybody who asks that question isn't doing it themselves right now.
True.
So if you could do it yourself like that, the answer is yes, absolutely you could. Good luck.
So that'd be one misconception, right?
Right.
I can just do this myself. Do you have any other misconceptions that people may have when they come in?
I think that a lot, besides the debt consolidation, besides the person going, oh, so this is just making an extra payment. It's beyond making an extra payment. It is literally like having 100 CPAs and mathematicians all working at the same time, and any shift can make a difference in your timeline. Any shift can make your timeline go up a little bit, go down a little bit. You could put, you take somebody like myself. I don't get a straight salary paycheck each month. It goes up and down. When it goes down, the system knows that we've set it at an average. But when it goes down and I say, this is how much I made this month, the system goes, okay, we've got to take care of expenses first. We've got to do this and this and this. We might not be paying anything on any debt this month other than your normal payments that you would make.
Right.
But
then
then
it'll adjust.
But then turn around, and now I made more money. Now the same thing goes for all the information that you've put in for your budget. You say I'm going to pay $100 a month for water. You're in Caldwell. We know that that's completely different now.
Mm-hmm.
That was a shocker. That you put in you say normally I pay $100, and you got the bill that month, and it says it's 142. You tell the system it was actually 142 this month. The system goes, okay, and it makes the adjustments. And it's like,
And it's real time versus
real time.
if you had a financial advisor, you'd have to go in and see them or call them on the phone.
once a year.
It's doing it, yeah.
Yeah,
in
and a
real
financial
time.
advisor, you're not going to call a financial advisor up and say,
Every day.
listen, we're thinking of buying a car. What's the fastest way to pay down that car? They only are looking at how can I make you money, because the more money they make you, the more money they're going to make. And if you don't have much money, then you think, well, I'm not going to be benefiting them, obviously. But like I said, you make $1 more, it can make a difference on where you put it and when. We've seen some even other examples where people were. I didn't realize that auto loans, for instance, had an amortization schedule. Did you know that?
To be honest, this is somewhat educational for me because I don't pay any attention to
Well,
it,
I'm
and
not-
I think
yeah.
I'm like most
Like most
everybody,
people,
right?
right?
I
Well,
just know when the end
that's
date
where
is and what
that's
the
where I
payment
was.
is,
That's exactly where I
and you
was.
try and get there.
I looked. I knew that mortgages had an amortization schedule, but on auto loans, your amortization schedule is 200. Somebody's going to correct me on this, and that's fine. Put it in the comments. I think it's like 260 payments, like that. They push it out that far. If nothing changed and you continue to pay on it, it's the same thing with credit cards. They know how far out that if you just paid the minimum payment each month, if you had a full balance, you've reached your credit limit, and you were to pay on it, you could. That's why they're talking about you could be paying on your credit cards minimum payments for 20 or 30 years, like that. So it's understanding that timeline, understanding that you're in control of it, and understanding that there is a system that actually can change that for you today. That's what's been so exciting about what we've been doing.
So if somebody wants to get started in that, they would come and see you and sit down for, what's the average time?
20, 30 minutes.
20, 30 minutes.
You know, I have some people, talk about being in today's day and age, because some people, so if you went to our website, smartmoneygps.net, and you clicked on schedule my financial analysis, it has on the next screen, it just pop up in a little PDF there that says, here's a worksheet for you to start filling out my debt, income, expenses. And there are some people that will sit down and they will to the penny. I've got a $3 HBO thing that I do, and I've got Amazon. They run it all, and then there are other people that just go, I think I know how much I spend approximately. Those are the ones who really go, didn't know I was spending that much. But that's a worksheet that we give them. We don't have them send it back to us. That's just for them to have when we sit down. But more often than not, I literally have in real time somebody either on their phone or on a computer going, my mortgage. Okay, hold on a second.
Forgot about that.
Okay. Oh, my credit card. Hang on. Yeah, it's 29.99%, and it's this amount. So literally 20 to 30 minutes, even with people right there looking it up, type thing. Once they do the analysis, the numbers are in front of them, and then it's a matter of just looking at. So what do you want to do? The analysis is free. We offer to people come in. You could run your analysis and find out that you could be debt free in 5 to 7 years, and look at me and go, thank you, and then walk out. Yeah, it's free. No, we don't charge you for that. In purchasing the program, that's where things begin to change. You've got lifetime for the program. You've got lifetime support for the program, lifetime upgrades for the program. So the founders of MoneyMax recently, I love this story, recently sat down with Claude, ChatGPT, and Gemini and said, I'm going to put in the numbers. Tell me the fastest way to get this done. And, they did their algorithms. They did all their calculations. And then they put in, said, well, this is what MoneyMax does. And Claude's response was almost like this. Well, just do that type thing. So even today, when I say that there's no competition, there's nothing out there like this, even AI is going, really? Okay. And they started this back in 2004. In 2007, they launched a beta program with 300 people. I think it was in the Denver area. 2008 hit.
Yes,
every one of those people said, thank you. I kept my home, and I'm moving towards debt-free and wealth with this program. By 2019-ish or so, they had begun to put millions of dollars into the program and said, let's make it better. Let's get it down to just having a checking account and a savings account. Can we do that? And if we can do that, and we can change everything. The mission of this company has just been to get people debt free. And when you're sitting at almost $3 billion that they've already taken care of.
Well, and I think that's a goal that we all want to, we always say it, right? But
Sure.
what are we doing about it?
Yeah.
And then it also sounds like we touched on this just a little bit, but if you have a crisis, that you can enter that data as well. I think we call it an unexpected expense.
Yeah.
But if you actually have a crisis too, you would just enter that information.
Yep.
If it was detrimental and
no different adding that than saying next year I want to go to Hawaii and putting that information in and having the system calculate and say on this date these things will happen. I can look at the system right now and look at dates and say these specific things are going to be paid off here. I might want to shift. I might want to do something over here. But you've got people across the country who are using this who have paid off their home in record time, and then they're left with this kind of thing. We could buy another house. What if we had 2 houses? What if we did a rental? What if we started building wealth this way? The opportunity is there because the program is putting them in that kind of a position. Investors love a program like this, not because of getting out of debt, but because of telling me when I can actually make a move that's going to be more beneficial and profitable for me. The idea that you're able to constantly move like this is what I love about it. It's just so dynamic.
yes. And then how many life-changing stories have you? It sounds like they have hundreds of those.
Oh, they
If
have
not
hundreds of those.
thousands.
Yes, there are thousands of people across the country using it. Here's another thing. My wife started doing. She does our social media. She does an amazing job with our social media. And one day I had somebody from college saw one of the posts that she made, reached out and said, "Hey, can you get a hold of my daughter? She's about to do a consolidation loan." Okay. A, she knew nothing about the program. B, she didn't have it herself. But she's sitting there in Texas and said, "Can you help her out?" Months went by. I thought, well, I wish we could have helped her, Finally got a hold of her daughter. And we sat down and we did the analysis. Now, her husband's military. So they live on they don't have base housing, but they had bought a house and they had a rental house. And she had her own business. And they were constantly working on the kids. And I mean, it was just story after story. Well, after running her analysis and she was staring at the screen and I thought that the screen had froze. I'm like,
Yeah.
wanted to tap it, go, are you there? She was like, "This is so amazing. I didn't know that I could do this." Then I got a hold of her mom and said, "You realize you referred something you had no idea about." And she goes, "Yeah, I do. And I'm going to get my son involved with this too." I mean, it was like, but they're in Texas. So yes, we do this nationwide with the Money Max program. We do it nationwide with Rock Financial. With farmers, we are Idaho, Oregon, and Washington licensed. But if you're outside of those states, we have trusted partners that we can refer you to help you out with your insurance as well.
Right. So even if you move locations or change states,
Yeah.
nothing changes with the plan that you have in place to become debt free.
Correct.
Yeah.
And back to your question of what are some of the questions people ask? When you come to Smart Money, you are not obligated to utilize all three programs. You could come to us and just get an insurance quote. That's it. You could come to us to talk about funding for your business, and that's it. You could come to us and talk about the Money Max, or you could utilize all three. But you saw at the very beginning how I talked about where that's the whole thing of the protection that we set up, that trifecta of a protection that enables us to say, we've got you covered in every area here.
Yeah, and I think it's building that trust too. So like you said, you use it yourself.
Right.
Were you shocked the first time you put in your
no,
numbers? We
no.
don't have to go into your numbers, but
No, I was pissed.
okay.
I mean,
fair.
I was sitting there just going, I cannot be the only person who's staring at the screen going, why have I allowed this? And you talk about having the discipline, and you talk about the people that are going to hammer down on you and say, you need to just, I'm thinking of Jim Carrey in Liar Liar when he's like, "Stop breaking the law, idiot." It's like, "Stop spending money, idiot." Yeah, that's nice. But the reality is most people are like this. We're just living life. And we're doing what we think that we should be doing. And occasionally we get a little bit of information and we go, "Oh, I should probably do that. I should probably make an extra payment on my mortgage." We have no idea that we could be in a different position financially if we had a system in place, if we had structure in place that gave us, and my wife uses this word and I love it, that gave us guardrails. It's almost like going to a bowling alley and putting up those things. You can't miss because you're going to just, no matter what, you're going to hit the pins. But having something that's right there for you, that doesn't judge you, that doesn't say, "You idiot, you messed up. Why did you overspend? Why did you do this?" It literally says, "Okay, so this is where we're at now. This is how long it's going to take. No worries."
Yeah. Yeah, and I think like some things that you hear is always, hey, if you send a payment into the bank for your truck or your house, make sure you write principal in the memo line or something. Right. But I'm not sure we know much more other than that, meaning, okay, well, what does that do?
Some banks will allow you to make multiple payments, but will not apply it to principal. They will hold on till you get the full amount in there, and then they will make the payment, which means you're paying more on interest in that case. So always want to check with your bank. I've actually had scenarios where I've seen where somebody, they were looking at the Money Max account and then they thought, okay, this is going to be dumb because I've got a 18% loan over here, and this is good. We should probably work to pay that off faster than that's the avalanche method of paying the highest interest rate first. But then you've got over here, well, if I pay the lowest amount of debt, Well, then the snowball effect, and I just keep rolling. But if you
And
had
we've all heard of those, right?
But if you had something telling you each month, giving you little indication, little arrow symbols going, make a move now, do it now, and trust in the fact that it knows better than you. Now, I love the fact that AI says it can make mistakes. And it can. That's the humorous side to me about that kind of stuff. But I guarantee you that it can compute things faster than I can and is going to be more accurate than I could be because it's doing the math that much faster. I had somebody that did say, I think I could do this myself. And I think I know what the system's doing. And, it's just doing this and it's just doing that. He was trying to explain like that. And I'm just still looking at him and I said, so how come you haven't been doing that? Well, I've never been put in the situation where I really had to do something. I said, where are you at today? Well, I had to really have to do something. So what are you going to do? Well, I'm getting the system. I could do it myself. Yes. Why would I?
Yeah,
I
time
get out
and
and live
effort.
life. I don't want to be spending. Another question. It just pops into my head while I'm
good.
talking. Another question that
information.
somebody would have is, how long does this take me? Like any program, that little bit of a learning curve at the beginning, on average, people are spending 20, 30 minutes a month. I mean, you're literally sitting there if you've got all your bills on automatic pay, for instance, if you've got things set up to be automated, then you're already just going in and checking stuff monthly on your bank account anyways and going, okay, yep, that cleared, or whatever like that. It's no different than that. It's literally doing the same thing. Yep, I had to make my water payment. There it is.
And ensuring those that fluctuate a little bit each month, you want to enter that or do an average. But if you really want to be precise, you could actually put in the exact
put the exact
number.
what you did, because the system, once you put a different number in, it knows, and it's going to say, okay, well, hang on, we're going to recalculate.
Yeah,
recalculating.
No, that's very exciting, and I don't know why we don't teach it more in schools as to how that works, other than it's the lack of knowledge of how it works. And then, of course, with the introduction, we say introduction, but AI has been around for a while. It's just gaining popularity, as we all know.
Right.
How fast it can compute, calculate, even edit these videos here. It's just amazing what it can do. Certainly, you need to be cautious that it may make an error every now and then, but it's certainly it does it within seconds, and you can update it at any time and make a change at any time, and it'll update it right away.
Yep, you are in control.
Yes,
and that's the beauty of it. You're not giving over to something that now controls you, which is what we do when we sign a mortgage. If we don't have any knowledge that we could actually be in control of this, because I love that question. Can you make an extra payment, or do they tell you that you can't? Well, yeah, I can make an extra payment. Mm-hmm. Well, then if you can make an extra payment, wouldn't you like something to tell you when the best time to make that payment would be? Mm-hmm. Because they'll tell you, even on a credit card, if you make your payment on the payment date, that's not always the best time. Sometimes the best time to pay your credit card is the day before. Sometimes it can be a few days before. Sometimes breaking up a payment can make a difference. In the case of, like we talked about with Velocity Banking, here's another thing that blew me away. If my payment on my credit card, let's say my payment was $300, and I took my paycheck and I put it on the Visa, the American Express, whatever, I put my payment on it, I have satisfied the payment. I don't owe that payment now. And I now have that $300 sitting there for me to use. In doing that, as soon as I found that out, that was another one of those ones where, man, I pay the minimum, or I pay a little bit extra. And you're like, why isn't it going down? It's because the system's rigged that way.
Yeah.
That's why they're making all their money, is because they knew how to do this.
And I think that's why you're saying you got to check with your bank too, because as the banks learn, as society gets more educated, how they can continue to make money.
Yes.
So they learn, like you said, maybe they will let you make an extra payment. Maybe they won't. Maybe they will on principle, or maybe they'll hold it. So knowing all those fine details about your own bank.
I heard another one recently. I think his name's Don Daniel, and Don talked about how he paid $100 every week on his car loan. By the end of the month, the bank had to recalculate and go, well, hang on a second. You actually paid off more, so your payment's going to be less next month. And he's like, no, I'm going to keep paying the amount that I'm paying. And he kept doing it weekly, and it kept throwing it off. Now that's recasting in a good thing, that you're forcing it to change the numbers. If your amortization schedule shows on one side, when I pay this is how much it will pay down.
Their advice was just lower your payment, but that isn't the goal he was trying to accomplish.
They look at aren't you happy? But the thing is in this video, he called up the bank and he said, how is this doing this? They couldn't even answer it. They were like, I don't know. Just because they're not taught that at the bank level either. It's people way above that are saying, we've got to figure this out. Like you're saying, AI is changing things. People are getting smarter. We've got to figure out how we keep our money.
Yeah, and I think with AI, more people can check things too, meaning is my bank telling me? Because you would go into the bank and trust them, right? Normally, that's how we pick a bank or pick an insurance company, is you develop some sort of trust that someone is telling you the correct information. But it's always good to keep in mind they always have an end goal too, whoever's sitting across the table from
Absolutely.
you, right? So
Absolutely.
Investing, right? The more money they make for you, they could care less if you're in debt. If you're adding more money to your investment, then that adds to their paycheck at the end of the month as well.
That's right. That's right.
So like what's one tip you would say before they come in and see you? If somebody had to do something right now, maybe you don't want to give this away, but just one tip if someone says, okay, I'm gonna get in there and I'm gonna go see them, but until I get in there, are you noticing a pattern? Like what's one thing you're seeing in that program that it says that we may not understand, meaning maybe making the payment to your house isn't always the best, though it may look, or your perception may be it is.
Right.
Have you come across something that seems to be pretty common ground that's one tip you'd be willing to share?
Oh, absolutely. The thing that the program does, which is amazing, if you look at a graph type scenario, and you've got a mortgage, and you've got a car loan, you've got a student loan, you've got all this debt, all the different percentages, and you would think, I just got this extra amount of money, I should go pay down this. And the system goes, if you did that, here's a great example. And again, I'm going to get the numbers wrong, but it's the example that I wanted to share. So normally when you go in to buy a house, if you can put a down payment down, they say that's great, right? That's good for you.
That's what they say.
But what if you got that loan without making a down payment? Let's say you had $40,000 to put down on the house, and you had $40,000 to pay off on your car, and your car was at 10%, and your mortgage is at 6.5, and you're thinking, well, if I just pay off the car, then I don't have to pay the higher interest or that. But if I paid off $40,000 on the house, I may pay off 6 to 8 years with that payment versus this over here. So you look at the schedule and you say, okay, because 3 days before they disclose to you the amortization schedule. They disclose to you the reality of what the percentage you are paying is, which that's the one that really can get people. If you say, I got a 3.5% loan, like you're not paying 3.5%. You look at that very first payment and you realize that your payment is almost, 50 to 80% interest. And it's going to stay that way for years until it starts evening out. But if I were to look at that moment and go, tell you what, I want to get this mortgage with no down payment. Okay, it's going to be higher. That's fine, because then I'm going to make my first payment. I'll just use the numbers I used before. I'm going to make my $1,000 payment, and then I'm going to turn around and make a $40,000 payment to principal. If I put $40,000 down before I do that, the next day.
you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So It just those little things to know is crazy. And that's why when we talked about like velocity banking, finding out that I can utilize a credit card to my advantage. The person who says, I don't have any extra income at the end of the month. Then utilize it. But do you have a credit card? Yes, I have a credit card. Take your paycheck, put as much as you can on that credit card, and make your monthly expenses like you normally do. You've satisfied the payment. They're not coming after you for the payment now.
Mm-hmm.
And then as a result of that, your balance is going to go down faster. So you're at $10,000 balance that you had, and you put in, let's just say $3,000. That knocked you down to $7,000. Add the interest to it, brings you up to 70. Let's just say $7,500 because of the interest. And then you make your expenses, and now you're at $9,500. Next month, you put the paycheck on again, and now you're down to $9,200. You're chunking it down like this. And by doing that, you're also giving yourself emergency money, cash flow like that.
Does it also calculate, this just crossed my mind. So let's say you have an extra, usually 10 grand. The recommended is what, 6 months in your savings to keep you afloat.
Right.
But let's say you have 100 grand. Can you also put that into the program, and it tells you whether to keep that where it's at, whether that's in a 401k or money market or just in a savings account, and say it would be better to pull some of that out right now and pay based on all the data you've entered. You'd be better off pulling that out and paying something off.
Let me answer that question in the way that you gave a scenario.
Okay.
Because an open-ended, I have $100,000 over here, what do I do with it? It's the product is not a financial advisor in that sense. It's there is what's called the Money Max Pro, and the Money Max Pro uses IULs to help build wealth. And so you're able to put more money into an IUL like that that's earning interest like that. But from a financial advisor perspective, like on a blanket, I have $100,000. What should I do with it? That's not the scenario that you're painting. The scenario you're painting is, I have $100,000. I have debt. What should I do to pay down this debt? Yes, at that point in time, the system is going to advise you. For instance, if you told the system, I'd really like to have $5,000 in my savings, and I want it to stay in my savings. The system now knows I don't touch that. I'm not going to go to that and say, we need this. Okay. Because the system is going to tell you, based on the information you've given me, it's very possible that on this date, you could overdraw your checking account or whatever like that. So in order to make sure that you don't, I'm going to recommend you put money in certain areas. But if you had money, because I have had a couple people who, when we did their analysis, they had like $12,000 in their savings account. They were still scrapping by every month because they didn't know what to do. All they were told is, don't touch that money, save that money type thing.
Well, everybody's waiting on the crisis to happen, right?
Right.
And if you don't have any money extra at all, even if you're using this program, that could be detrimental.
I'll open up the
medical for one, right?
Well, medical is another.
Yeah.
I'll open up the scenario that you just did with somebody recently that's one of our clients. He had a $90,000 HELOC. And if he had that $100,000 or had $25,000 in savings or whatever like that, the system might say, put that on the HELOC. And now you're going to have the person over here going, well, wait a minute. But then they can't. Yes, they can. That's their money to access. They can go now and pull that money out if they need it. They don't have to spend it, but it's not sitting over here doing nothing. You want to give your money something to do that's going to benefit you. And the system is going to look at your scenario and say, if you have money over here, if you have debt over here, if you are forecasting this down the road or like that, do this. Let's get that money over here, for instance, in a high interest, high yield savings account. And we'll throw the $100,000 over here for 3 months. We'll earn some interest on it. and then we'll take 20,000 out of that and pay off this debt over here. We'll put it over here. We'll move it. Yes. In that kind of a scenario, it's not a financial advisor. It is advising you with the money that you have and the debt that you have as well.
So it'd be up to you to say, hey, I've got an extra 10, 20 grand. What would I pay off first? It's able to do that. If you're asking it, is it better to pull that or not pull it? That's a little
Right.
a step up above.
That's
just the
that's
normal.
going into the Money Max
Right.
Pro
But
type
if
thing.
you decide to pull some of it and enter that in the computer
Yep.
or into the program, then it's
Yeah.
going to use that.
One person recently, that's one of our clients. She's a realtor, and she knows that within the next 5 years, they're probably going to inherit some money. Somebody might probably be passing away, and there's a lot of money that they're going to drop off for them. And so she was able to look at me and say, when that money comes in, is Money Max going to tell me what to do? Yeah, and yes, depending on what your scenario is at that time. And it might then say, okay, now move this over here and let this sit because we've paid off everything over here now. And this is why having a financial advisor, any financial advisor, for those of you out there who have financial advisors, any financial advisor who knows about this type of a program, because there are so many financial advisors who use it themselves. One of the guy who trained my wife and I, he bought the program in 2009, and he told me 2 months ago that they were just going to buy. They're about to buy a new house. He said we're going to have it paid off in 3 years. I'm just like going. I'm speechless.
It's almost hard to believe,
Yeah,
right?
but he's a financial advisor. And so he utilizes this with his clients as well to say, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I want to help you get to here with the money that you want to have for retirement, for this and this and this. And if we can get you debt free here with a program like this, that's going to make all the difference for you. Yeah. So for all the financial advisors out there, for all the mortgage brokers out there, for all the realtors out there who are saying, I'm curious about this program that you're talking about, that's the reason why we're trying to get the message out, is because there's some of the professions that benefit a realtor who has this program, who can offer it to his people that they sell a house to, can have that person come back quicker as a client than, hey, I'll see you in 30 years or in 20 years or whatever like that when we decide we're going to buy another house, and the realtor has to wait. Yes. So this is critical for them as well.
You know, I think any education we can get when it comes to our money and saving money and getting debt free is certainly welcomed. Can you tell us again where someone should go to find out if they watch this and then they want more information before they come in and see you?
Yes. So go to smartmoneygps.net. That is the main address to our website. And then we have a bunch of information on there. We've got some videos on there that explain our trifecta approach. And then if you say to yourself, I'm interested in getting my analysis done, there's a little call to action button there that's on every single page that says, get my financial analysis. Jump on that. We'll schedule a time with you, and then the rest is up to you.
Sounds very exciting. Very well. Then anything else you'd like to share with us before we wrap this
Except
up?
that I'm looking at that ocean behind you, and I'm going, that is where I'd like to be right now.
And using this program will get you there faster.
That's the whole plan. That's the whole plan.
Well, Troy, thank you so much for coming in today. Hopefully there will be more information, and certainly come back as the company continues to grow and there's more success stories to share.
I'd be happy to do that.
All right. Thank you.
You bet. Take care.